Spain demanded 55 million euros and tried to put her in a cage. Instead, the government was forced to hand her $70 million in cash. So how did Shakira mathematically destroy a sovereign state? And what exactly is hiding inside that offshore corporate network? Spain's tax inspectors literally interviewed her hairdressers and mapped her daily routine to build a trap. They thought they cornered a pop star, but they were hunting a ghost. They checked her flights. They checked her credit cards. They checked her salon in Barcelona. They built an entire case based on her highly publicized relationship. While the government tracked her hair appointments, she had already sold her life's work for $140 million. Then she hit the road and pulled in over $421 million more. Most people just pay the fine when the state comes knocking, but she used their own rules against them. She fought an 8-year legal war and completely crushed their legal theory. And we haven't even reached the part where she flips the entire global financial system upside down. She looked at a music industry completely addicted to cheap money and decided to take her chips off the table. In the absolute peak of 2021, she executed a flawless exit. She sold her entire catalog, 145 songs, to a massive London fund called Hypnosis. She traded decades of future royalty streams for $140 million in immediate cash. And her timing was terrifyingly perfect. Think about your own timing for a second. Now imagine timing a global market crash perfectly. Right after she sold, global interest rates skyrocketed. The cost of borrowing money became brutally expensive. The very fund that bought her music collapsed under its own massive debt. Hypnosis faced shareholder revolts and massive audits. But she was already gone. She extracted maximum value at the top of the market. She let the big money players take the hit. She didn't just sell some old records. She sold her publishing rights right before the economic environment changed completely. When you hold royalties, you rely on streaming algorithms to pay you fractions of a penny. When you take the lump sum, you shift the risk entirely to the buyer. And that London fund took all the risk. But cashing out of the past was just the setup. The real explosion of wealth came from what she did next. Heartbreak usually costs you money. She turned hers into a $500 million global enterprise. After a brutally public breakup in Barcelona, she did not retreat. She weaponized the attention. She launched the Las Mujeres Ya No Lloran World Tour. It became the highest-grossing Latin music tour in history. We are talking about a gross revenue of $421 million. Stadium economics are brutal up front. You have to drop maybe $50 million just to build the stages, hire the massive crew, and move the trucks. But once you cross that break-even line, the math changes. The cost of letting 10,000 more fans into a stadium is basically zero. Those ticket sales drop straight to the bottom line. This is pure operating leverage, where you own the whole pipeline and the profit margins expand massively. In Mexico City alone, she played 13 sold-out shows, and she stacked that massive touring cash right on top of her catalog sale. Time for the money drop. 3 numbers: $140 million from the catalog sale, $421 million grossed on the road, and a $70 million penalty refund from the state. So, what's Shakira's real net worth? Drop your guess in the comments. We'll show you the real number in a minute. And while you drop your guess, we haven't told you about the Quiet Island Network. That one changes everything. While the world watched her on stage, a quiet network of companies in Malta and Luxembourg was holding the real power. When you earn money in 50 different countries, the global tax system tries to take a cut at every single border. She was not going to let that happen, so she set up an international firewall. A holding company called Tornasol Limited sat quietly in Malta. She was the sole shareholder, operating from her official residence in the Bahamas. The Bahamas has zero personal income tax. Meanwhile, the Malta company owned another entity legally registered in Luxembourg. Why? Because Luxembourg has highly favorable treaties for intellectual property. It was completely bulletproof. This is called jurisdictional arbitrage. Setting up your money in the exact countries that treat it the best. It is not a crime. It is a completely standard, big money strategy to prevent double taxation. Put yourself in that position for a second. You followed every international law. and a foreign government still decides to raid your accounts. The authorities in Spain saw this massive global wealth and decided they wanted a piece of it. They claimed she actually lived in Spain all along, and they were willing to tear her life apart to prove it. But they severely underestimated who they were fighting. Other stars just paid the fines to make the problem go away. She refused to settle. Elite athletes and massive celebrities get targeted by the Spanish tax agency all the time. When the government demands 20 million euros, most of them just pay it. They write the check to avoid a public trial and keep themselves out of a jail cell. Shakira looked at the 55 million euro demand and said no. She had infinite liquidity, so she funded an 8-year legal war instead. Spain tried to use the 183-day rule. According to their law, if you spend 183 days physically inside the country during a single year, they can tax your entire global wealth. Prosecutors claim her highly publicized romance with a local soccer player proved she lived there. They allegedly tracked her every move. Imagine having the cash to fight an entire country in court. Her defense team brought the math. They proved mathematically that her global touring schedule kept her moving constantly. The maximum number of days she actually spent in Spain that year was 163, exactly 20 days short of the legal threshold. The entire case collapsed. The court ruled that having a local boyfriend does not legally make you a tax resident. This was a masterclass in sovereign tax litigation, fighting a government in their own courts and winning. She did not just beat the charges. She humiliated the tax agency. The court forced the government to refund everything they had previously seized, plus interest. They had to hand her $70 million in cash, which paved the way for the ultimate escape. She packed up, moved to a $20 million fortress in Miami, and left the Spanish tax system behind forever. Florida has zero state income tax. She secured a massive waterfront property and completely separated herself from European regulations. And that offshore network we talked about? It successfully shielded her capital through the entire storm. She walked out of the fire richer than when she walked in. Let us look at the final math. She holds $230 million in pure cash reserves from the Catalogue sale, the stadium tour, and the state's penalty refund. She has $80 million in tangible properties, like the Miami mansion, a property in Cyprus, and a private island in the Bahamas. And she holds just $10 million in strategic mortgage debt used to optimize her cash flow. Add it up. Liquid assets plus illiquid assets minus total liabilities equals $300 million. Her liquidity ratio is incredibly high. She has enough cash on hand to fund any project or fight any government without ever needing a loan. Here is the lesson you need to take away. Most people think wealth is just about making money. Real wealth is building a fortress so strong that even a sovereign state cannot break the walls. To the members of the Capital Logic Network who support our channel and make this possible, thank you for everything.